Greetings, this is Samir with Buck Show Walter, and this is the news on the New York Mets roster given the lockout. So this is the lockdown roster really for 2022, which may not even exist. We're going to say number one, it's going to be a bit of a competition. Number two, there's very few major moves that can be made during the lockdown, which may go throughout the season. It may, with everything going on in the world, and certainly in baseball with the collective bargaining agreement, the lockout, the rosters are locked down because of the lockout. Now, of course, we have the virus, Omicron. We have health issues for some players recovering, and of course, the collective bargaining contract. Overall, we're seeing, aside from minor leagues and a few types of transactions which are allowed, Rule 5 or something. Of course, the draft, the minor the amateur player draft, things like that. We're really not looking to any major acquisitions until after the lockdown, which may very well wipe out the 2022 season. Now, with that in mind, I will say a few things about the New York Mets roster. As I said, it's going to be mostly rehab and health. I doubt the Mets will go into 2023 without adding a couple of star players. The infield is looking pretty solid. The outfield, possibly you can upgrade. In the pitching, whether starting pitching or relief pitching, you might add a player or two. So I'll go through the roster. Number one, in 2023, we're going to have that new catcher. Now, we have the number one, McCann, and then the rookie, the number one prospect for the New York Mets is the rookie catcher. He won't be ready, Constra or something like that. He's the number one catching prospect. Basically, McCann will remain the number one catcher, and Almanza, my mind wanders. I don't know why. Anyway. So regarding catcher, that's pretty much set. First base, we're looking at Alonso, backing up with a couple of players. Number one, backup might be Dom Smith, who is a Gold Glove quality and late inning, fill-in for Alonso. So basically, what you're gonna see when you get into games like playoffs and World Series, that Dom Smith might come in, and because he's a Gold Glove caliber first baseman. And it doesn't mean that Dom Smith won't get regular playing time. He might be out in left field. There is kind of left field is where you put a lot of infielders who can also play the outfield. Dom Smith is good hitter. Alonso is a better hitter, and Dom Smith is basically Gold Glove caliber first baseman. So he's gonna be the late inning first baseman for the Mets, Dom Smith, and a great, he grew up in the system also. Second base, got a couple of options. It's Jeff McNeil's best position. He can also play third, but the other guy, Escobar, he can also play third. Apparently, second base is Jeff McNeil's best position. This is a guy who can hit over 300 with no problem for you. There's a third baseman. I'm sorry, you shouldn't use the word upstart, like minor league first round pick. Reminds me a bit of like a Kevin Elster. Plays third base. Why? Because Kevin Elster was also like, I think, a first round pick. And needs a little, like Brandon Nimmo also, who will be re-signed. And Nimmo is another. Possibly the starting right fielder might be Brandon Nimmo. Took a lot of time for Brent, and he's just getting re-signed and now establishing himself as the regular right fielder. Bret Batty is the guy that we talked about in a possible, future third baseman for the New York Mets. Of course, there's a long development time for Bret Batty. He is, I think, he knows what he's doing. He's potentially can hit for power, kind of like a opposite field, like Keith Hernandez type hitter. He possibly could get his batting average up. He does a lot of some simple corrections. Could get him up to Keith Hernandez. Solid line drive hitter is what you'll get from out of opposite field. I think he hit about 19 home runs, which so he has an open stance. I look at this scouting report. This is the easiest thing to correct, is an open stance. It's usually not even really recommended, except for contact hitters do like that, but he's trying to show a little more power. There really is very few people who can get away with having an open batting stance. Um, it just gets you to be more of a slant hitter. Excuse me, Batty has a lot of strikeouts based on the stance, and possibly between trying to hit home runs and show power, and on the other hand, he's basically a contact hitter trying to show home runs. They say he could probably add to his weight. He's not really a great third baseman. Defensively, he might be like J.D. Davis someday, like a third baseman outfielder, or Brandon Nimmo in terms of taking time to build into his frame. But basically, the scouting report is very obvious. He has to close his stance. He's trying to show, how many home runs he can hit. So he's 30% strikeouts just from trying really hard to hit home runs and slapping. But basically, contact hitter, opposite field hitter. He's going to end up being more of a line drive hitter. He can certainly hit 25 home runs. Um, his average is low because of all the strikeouts. And that's Bret Batty, just not the best defensive third baseman. And so that might be a player for the future. And maybe like J.D. Davis might end up in left field rather than third baseman, because with the Mets' current configuration with Escobar, and Lindor, who can hit 30 home runs, you're looking at solid infield defense. So usually, as far as position, it's going to be the best defensive. All other things equal, where's your best defensive position? But Bret Batty certainly could, hit you 25 home runs and raise his batting average, quite a bit if he just simple corrections to the stance. In particular, in the outfield, we're looking at left field. We're just not sure who goes there. Of course, Mark Conha, might get. Obviously, he was picked up to fill some time there. There's J.D. Davis. There's Dom Smith, of course, we mentioned. Of course, the new center fielder Starling Marte, and the right fielder, as I mentioned, Brandon Nimmo. Now on the pitching, here's the interesting thing. So you've got DeGrom, you've got Max Scherzer, you've got Carrasco, number 3. But the issue is not his place in the rotation, but his health, mainly with Carlos Carrasco, and solid number 3 health. Taiwan Walker, of course, I think, and David Peterson. We're looking at is they're not accustomed to the number of innings, both of them, that they were asked to pitch. They're underperformed. Peterson's a left-hander. Walker, a potential superstar right-hander. Either number 3 or number 4. First half was very good. Both of them, just pitched more innings than they were accustomed to. You saw that with Dwight Gooden also when he first came up, that he was asked to pitch more innings than and after Dwight Gooden, they try to really control those innings. For the young starters. I think it was Dwight Gooden that just the first year they asked him to pitch more innings than coming into the major league. So Taiwan Walker, David Peterson have one other thing in common. They're all both very good against left-handed batters. Taiwan Walker, of course, is a right-hander. He's slotted in, I guess, at number 4, and then McGill, Taylor McGill, and he did well against in the Subway Series against the Yankees, and he will probably be kept just in case for that reason. But as far as this, and these are young, uncertain players, in Carrasco at number 3, of course, a health issue. So Walker could easily be the number 3, but just not used to the innings. Peterson probably be the odd man out, or basically, Taylor McGill. Between Taiwan Walker, the right-hander, and Peterson, the left-hander. Peterson, obviously, left-hander, is very valuable in the bullpen, and you've got a couple of others. Joey Lucchesi, I looked at him. He's got a good release and a good pickoff move, so very deceptive in terms of the speed of his pitches and the pickoff. I think he's also a left-handed. It could be a reliever as well. Because eventually, Peterson might be like Noah Syndergaard, spending a lot of time in the starting rotation before finding a place in the bullpen. Left-hander, and then Lucchesi could come in, like we saw in those. I remember some Subway Series or something. You have these odd specialists, and Joey Lucchesi could be, that pickoff specialist. This is for World Series and playoffs. We need, got to get that guy off first base to get out of the inning. It could be baseless. Just need to pick that guy up, and that is why I would keep Lucchesi. There's a few other names I haven't looked at, so we went through the roster. And of course, a lot of it will be in the competition between these players, the way they build themselves up over 2022, and then probably one or two major additions. We're talking probably a left-hander, whether in the bullpen or in the starting rotation. They talked about like Rodon or something. They are looking to add another left-hander. Peterson is probably not gonna be, a left-handed starter, forever. So we got some specialists. Of course, a left-hander is always valuable in the bullpen, and then of course the closer. Looking at a couple of options there. I think there was somebody they brought in. I can't, again, sometimes the names get muddled in my head, but certainly Edwin Diaz from Seattle came over from Seattle. With Robinson Cano, who's still on the roster, older. I just at some point Robinson Cano will retire. I don't know if by 2023 or whenever his contract is up. The money is not the issue, but just at some point he's older and he may retire. But of course, Edwin Diaz is still the closer. And there's a second option, for potential closer. So that is the roster report with the locked down, lockout, New York Mets for 2022-2023. We do expect one or two major additions, when the lockout is over. In the meantime, it'll just be a lot of competition with these young players to prove that they belong where they're slotted. So we're going to hear from Buck Show Walter, which is I know that's the name of the manager of the Mets. That's how I got this idea. Really thinking of Walter Cronkite. So I don't represent the Mets or the manager of the Mets. I just this is the show for the news. Part of it is New York Mets news. And I am here on Earth-Based Records on YouTube. Thank you.